Okay, now 17 past the hour now on this Fox News alert. The president signaling over the weekend that he will lean on greater economic pressure over firepower in the conflict with Iran. All this happening after the new regime, the regime issued new demands for reopening the strait. Meanwhile, the vice president, J.D. Vance, over the weekend with Kayleigh, giving new details on the situation with Tehran.
We're really in the middle of the game here. This thing is not over. I feel quite confident we will get there, but we're still a bit in the middle of the game. They're hurting in a big way. They want this thing to be over. The question is whether they're able, their system is able to give the things that are necessary for us to be happy, for us to feel like we've gotten what we need out of this particular engagement. That is still to be determined, but I do think that we've made some progress over the last few days.
All right, let's get to the reporting today now. Alex Hogan live from the White House with more on this. And Alex, where do we stand? Hello.
Hi, Bill. So President Trump told Axios that instead of increasing military pressure on Iran, the administration is going to watch and wait and allow the economic pressure to mount. So this is what he said, in part, quote, "We are low-keying it. We are only semi-negotiating with them. We are watching Iran with its huge inflation and the fact that they have no money." Vice President J.D. Vance over the weekend signaled that there is no short-term timeline. The administration sees this as the middle of the conflict.
We're applying a whole host of tools, diplomatic, economic, military tools, to ensure that we get the best outcome for the American people.
Republicans argue turning up the economic pressure is all part of that long-term play.
To continue to put economic pressure, for example, by blockades, upon the Iranians, that will cause them enough discomfort that they will actually come back to the bargaining table.
Democrats argue that the administration should be looking at the economic implications of the conflict here at home.
Everyday Americans, we can see the very large gap between what Donald Trump says and what Donald Trump does. And so Donald Trump may be saying that oil companies are making too much money, but what Donald Trump is doing is starting a reckless war in Iran.
And over the weekend, Iran released new demands saying that it wants the U.S. to lift its naval blockade, to unfreeze Iranian assets, and pay Iran for war damages. Bill?
All right, Alex, thanks. Alex Hogan setting the table for us. Thank you for that. Martha's got more.
And with that, we bring in retired General Jack Keane, Fox News senior strategic analyst. General Keane, great to have you with us this morning. Let's start with what President Trump said about, sort of eyeing what's going on and putting more of a focus on economic pressure and believing that over time that will force them to the table and force an outcome that is favorable to the United States. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think when you take a look at the evidence, we've been at it 4 months now. We went to a ceasefire on April the 7th, largely because the Iranians shut down the Straits of Hormuz, and they were willing to negotiate about that very subject. And then we imposed a naval blockade on April the 13th. And obviously we were trying to put economic pressure on them as well. So we've been at this for 4 months over the Straits of Hormuz and applying economic pressure. And now we're in a diplomatic phase with them with two issues on the table: Straits of Hormuz opening up, and also the nuclear enterprise, and that's being kicked down the road for negotiations. I think at times we underestimate where the Iranians really are in terms of where their head is. And we have a tendency to look at them in terms of what is the impact of the blockade doing to the economy? How much money are they losing every single day, every single month? Where is their currency in terms of its value? What's their inflation rate? These are all norms that we look at ourselves, and we look at them and say, my, this is absolutely devastating to them. At some point, they're going to fold their hand. But you got to understand where this regime is really coming from, the people who are running it. They have an ideology that they're holding to. They absolutely believe right now that they have the upper hand. I know there's people that don't want to admit that, but that's where the Iranians are. I'm not saying that's where they are. I don't believe it myself. But it's irrelevant. They believe it. They believe the Straits of Hormuz is a strategic asset, and they are not going to bargain that away. Even if they gave in to the concessions we want them to make over the Straits, we already have evidence that they won't comply with it, because 2 presidents signed the deal and days later, the Iranians didn't comply with it. So where they are, they will not give up the Straits of Hormuz unless we take it back by force. No amount of economic pressure on them, I think, will bend them to do that. They don't care about the economic peril that their people are suffering from. That's the reality of what we're facing. And here's the other thing that's going to happen. As we get closer to the midterms, the Iranians, you can see how more aggressive they're becoming in their diplomatic ask of us, almost asking us to surrender, in a sense. The second thing is they're going to get more violent, because as we get closer to the midterms, they want to create a volatile situation that demonstrates that the administration is not managing the war properly, so that will impact them in the midterm elections. The Iranians have always, multiple administrations, been tuned in to what is happening in America, where is our political resolve. They focus a lot on our people to understand where the American will truly is. So I think their pathway forward, very aggressive diplomatically, they're going to get very aggressive violently as well. Now, President Trump has all the options in his hands. He can take big military action anytime he wants to shut these guys down. He can do it over a period of days. He can do it in less time than that. He has huge options. He's very much aware of all of that. And we'll see what takes place. I do believe in my own mind that the only way that Iran will meet our demands is we have to force them.
So there are questions about our ability to do that militarily. You've certainly read all of these stories about missiles, about what's being perhaps poached from the Asian and Russian and all of the other places that we have very serious military concerns. What's your reaction to that? What do you say to that, to those stories, General Keane?
Well, I do have some knowledge, and I'm absolutely confident that the United States has a greater capability now than we had when we began the war on February the 28th. We've moved more assets into the region. We have more offensive capability. We have strengthened the defensive capability that's out there. Our allies in the region that Iran would want to retaliate against in terms of their oil and gas infrastructure, I mean, the truth be known, the Saudis and the UAE have more Patriot batteries in their country than we have protecting our people in the Middle East, to give you a sense of the scale of what they have. Admiral Cooper is visiting all these countries, and if they need to be strengthened, he's willing to help them, just like we have been helping the Israelis. Israelis came to us before the 12-day war and said, we need your help to help us defend against Iranian missile salvos. And we have, and quite effectively. So, yes, I mean, are there challenges? I think we get things mixed up. There are challenges in replacing the stockpile that we're using. That is a major issue, and that's a public issue, and you can see the Congress is very much into it, and so is the Deputy Secretary of War every single day. He's into that issue. But in terms of being able to prosecute a war with offensive weapons and to be able to defend against the Iranians, we can do that quite effectively.
Yeah. It's very clear from this list of demands that their major issue is that they want really a withdrawal of all U.S. military forces. They want all of our bases gone in the entire region. That has always been their goal, and that is among many stringent demands that they're making that don't seem to line up with where we are on any of this at all. General Keane, I want to thank you so much for your time this morning, and we'll continue the conversation. Thank you, sir.
Okay, great. Good to see the Bill and Martha team together again.
We're having a good day. Thank you very much, General.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.